He's never fought us. Not us united.
Die. Oh! I can so see that. That's it. Welcome to Comics League. I am Jared, and today, for Indie Wednesday, I am rediscussing Isom issue 1 because issue 2 just went online. I'm going to pre-order it ASAP, but I figured might as well revisit this comic because I realized I never did a spoiler discussion of this book. I did the spoiler-free one, then just got hung up on a lot of other stuff. So let's do this. So this is written again by Eric July, art by Cliff Richards, and colors by my good friend Gabe El Taib. What's up? And this is the story about a reluctant superhero a reluctant former superhero who has to come out of retirement. And I've said for the longest time, the thing that I really like about Isom, number one, I said this last week, is how it weaves in all the other components of this universe that Eric is building that are going to be important later, like the Alpha Core, Yaira, how you basically get an introduction of here's who these people are, and then here's how they'll be important later. And it's essentially, again, it's and that what I want to say is that is hard to do in one comic book. Granted, it's graphic novel length instead of floppy length, so that does aid because you have the space. But what this really does, it is in a short package, it gets you hooked in the universe because you want to find out who Yaira is, you want to find out who Alpha Core is, you want to find out who this Norwegian band is that apparently are all Greek or Norwegian gods. Yeah, there's so much in this that when you actually go through it, it's this is all interesting, and they're all gonna get their own books, Norfrika, which is a Norse metal band that's actually I believe the Norse gods, and which is actually I like when people try and weave in Greek mythology and just mythology in general with superheroes because it's so compatible. Because remember, superheroes are just our mythology. There are Zeus, Achilles, Apollo, and such. It's just they're in books instead of walking into the forum and having stories told to us. So the art in this is really cool. I like how this covers I'm gonna hold up to the screen how the art team of Richards and El Taib bring in all the shadows and make everything look dark in the dark scenes. So they really do a good job of evoking a certain emotion out of you when you're reading this book. And even in the daylight scenes, they still manage to fit in a little bit of darkness to let you know that this is a serious scene that's going down. And I love all the character designs. I love Yaira. She looks cool. When we first see her, she's in gym clothes, which I'm wondering what that's about, but we'll figure out what's going on with Yaira in the Yaira graphic novel, which I'm definitely going to pick up. By the way, here's her character design. Pretty inspired by Wonder Woman, but I like it. I think she has potential. And really what I want to talk about is why books like this are important, because here's what you have to understand. Say what you want about Eric July. You may agree with his political takes. You may disagree with them. But see, he's one of the few that have complained that there's something wrong with the comic book industry, which we can all agree there is. It's just we could disagree on what's the cause of it. But the point is, he actually did something about it. At least he's doing something about it. You don't have to like Isom. You don't have to like Eric July to admit that, okay, he's one of the first people to say there's something wrong with the comic book industry and then actually do something about it. Him, EVS, all the Comicsgate Kings, at least they're doing their own comics and saying, hey, here's an alternative to what the mainstream industry is giving you. So that's why I think we need to encourage more creators to do stuff, and particularly in the superhero realm, because here's the thing. Superheroes are always going to be big. Like I said, there are mythology. They're always going to be big. You just need more variety in storytelling. That's why I don't believe there's a superhero fatigue. There's just same story fatigue. So if you actually like, so the way I see it is this is to be encouraged. And if you don't like the book, don't engage. Because because what Eric is doing is I consider a community service. He is essentially telling the comic book fans that have been screwed over by Marvel and DC for years, hey, here's a place for you. If you want an alternative, here we go. And he's building an interconnected universe, which is key because that's the advantage American comics have over manga. Manga doesn't do like this vast interconnected universe in terms of multiple IPs crossing over. You won't have like Goku hanging out with Attack on Titan people. That ain't happening. Or with Marvel and DC, you could have Batman show up in a Superman book and vice versa. And with this, he's going to have a Yaira book, an Alpha Core book, obviously another Isom book. But what this allows for essentially is, again, because one of the main like hindrances to really like getting your teeth into like indie comics is that building that interconnected universe. And once you figure that out, I think it gets significantly easier. Obviously, you need enough writing staff, or you need enough time and brain power to write all the books, but that's besides the point. But Eric is not even writing all the book. He's got the Sasuke sisters doing a Yaira, and then he's got DC Comics legend and friend of Comics League Chuck Dixon writing the Alpha Core group book. And I'm like, if he's attracting that amount of talent, that's another reason to be interested in the book. Because if you're a fan of Chuck Dixon's Batman, well, you can get Chuck Dixon's Alpha Core, and there you go. That's just the way it works. And honestly, that's like that is a massive pull on the book, and that's the way it's going to be. And that's why I foresee this property exploding. So now I'm going to give you guys a brief summary of the plot. So basically, we have this dude, and he is essentially he's a retired superhero. And what happens is he has to do something for his sister, and then he gets dragged back into the superhero wing, which is really interesting when you look at it, because it's like, yeah, that's the noble thing. It shows that, honestly, what this book shows is that you can take the man out of the superhero, but you can't take the superhero out of the man. And what I mean by that is that, yeah, he can dress like a civilian. He can choose not to be a superhero. Let's just go off of that. But he's ultimately going to always act like a superhero at some point, because it's like, yeah, at a certain point, you're still going to do the noble thing if you're a superhero, or as close to the noble thing as possible if you're like the Punisher and you're more of an anti-hero. And again, he sees people he sees his sister's in need, he goes and helps her. That's the way of the hero. And obviously he encounters all the different characters that are going to play a part in it, like Alpha Core, who's basically like, imagine it like if the cops actually hired superheroes to help with law enforcement. And that's what Alpha Core is going to be. It's a lot like a police procedural, but in comic book form with superheroes, which is such a great idea, because I don't think we've ever really had that in like mainstream. We may have. If you do think of it, drop it in the comments, and I'll be sure to check that out. But as far as I know, that's an original concept. And so that's where I'm going to. That's where I'm going to leave it, because I wasn't going to go through like page by page, because again, this book's a year old, and I didn't want to like. If I wanted to do that, I would have done that back when this book came out. This was more like a reminder of why books like Isom are important to the industry, and why companies like the RippaVerse are important, because he's in the starting point right now. And Eric July said he's building out the universe, and what this will lead to is more of the classic interconnected comic books that Marvel and DC used to be famous for. So that's where I'm going to leave it. And so this was Indie Wednesday. I know I said I was going to do to do an amalgam comic. I'll do that next week. It's just this RippaVerse issue 2 went live, so I had to do a RippaVerse themed content. In terms of Under Two Capes, we're going to talk about why the DC fan base is so divided, and it's going to be in terms of the movies and in the comics, actually. And in terms of movie night, we're going to be talking about Amazing Spider-Man, the first Andrew Garfield movie, suggested by Snyder Queen. And in terms of what we're doing for The Flash, I'm thinking maybe Monday we'll do a live stream to discuss The Flash, or whenever the guys can see it, we'll do a live stream on The Flash. So on that note, stay heroic. Back the RippaVerse, back Isom number one. Well, buy Isom number 1, that he has it available on the website, but back RippaVerse, back Isom number 2, and keep on supporting indie comics, because honestly, at this point, we need more indie comics. Stay heroic, everyone. Bye-bye.